This video is about the Russian sleep experiment. In the late 1940s, during the height of Cold War paranoia, a clandestine group of Soviet researchers embarked on a psychological experiment that they didn't know would forever stain the walls of science with madness. They selected 5 political prisoners, each considered expendable by the regime, and offered them a deal which would grant them freedom if they agreed to participate in an untested experiment. They were told, which seemed like a simple task, to remain awake for 30 consecutive days inside a sealed, monitored environment. The prisoners agreed, and a few days later, the experiment started. In order to keep them awake, an experimental gas was continuously fed into the chamber through hidden vents. Cameras recorded their every move, and microphones captured their every breath and every muttered word. For the first 5 days, everything went smoothly. The prisoners engaged in low, nervous voices, sharing stories, hopes, regrets. They spoke of their families, of the world outside, but the gas had other plans. By the 6th day, the prisoners grew increasingly agitated. Their conversations turned dark, filled with paranoia and whispered accusations. They began moving restlessly, pacing in endless circles like animals trapped in a cage. Their eyes grew wide and wild, and they stopped eating the carefully prepared rations, preferring instead to huddle in corners and mumble into the microphones. The scientists, initially fascinated, and grew concerned. On the 9th day, one of the prisoners' scream tore through the speakers, a raw, primal howl that lasted for 3 full hours without pause, until the prisoner tore his own vocal cords and went silent. What was more horrifying that the other prisoners showed no reaction, not even a flicker of concern. Instead, they began to tear pages from books and smear them across the walls with their own feces, blocking the view of the cameras. So now only the microphones were functional. There was faint whispering, the wet sound of flesh tearing, the gurgle of something unspeakable happening behind the barrier. From that day onwards, for the next 3 days, the chamber remained weirdly silent. The researchers became worried and decided to open the chamber, fearing that the prisoners would no longer be alive. When they finally unsealed the heavy steel doors, what greeted them was a vision from the depths of hell. One prisoner lay dead, his abdomen ripped open, organs out on the floor, yet untouched. The remaining 4 were still alive, or were barely alive. Their bodies were a horrifying sight itself. Strips of muscle torn, portions of skin peeled back like discarded paper. They had fed on themselves and each other. Yet their eyes burned with an inhuman ferocity, and they screamed in terror not at the scientists, but at the thought of being put to sleep. All the prisoners howled and shouted to turn the gas back on, and kept repeating one phrase, "We must remain awake." After witnessing the full horror of the scene before them, the researchers attempted to sedate them, which ended in catastrophe. The moment the sedation began, vital signs flatlined. Their bodies tried to fight off death. Surgical teams were called and they tried operating, but the prisoners' bodies resisted even anesthesia. One of the prisoners thrashed violently on the table, snapping restraints with some unnatural strength, ripping out a surgeon in an unimaginable way. After this incident, the researchers refused to go forward with the surgery after losing their main surgeon and decide to question the prisoners again. When questioned, the surviving prisoners gave the same chilling answer again and again. "We must remain awake." Their minds, it seemed, had decayed past the point of return, or perhaps had evolved into something worse. One subject who responded very differently from others was questioned again and was asked what they had become. He smiled, blood caking his broken teeth, and whispered, "We are you, the madness you bury within. We are the primal fear that stirs when you're alone. We are what dreams fear to see when the light fades. We are what you have tried to forget, The audio and video recordings of the experiment were sent to the military, and after reviewing it, the military ordered the immediate termination of the experiment. One by one, the subjects were executed. Each death met not with fear, but with a strange, blissful gratitude on their twisted faces. Yet even as their hearts stopped, their mouths moved silently, repeating the same phrase, "We must remain awake." Every record, every photograph, every scrap of evidence was destroyed or hidden away. The evidence was buried beneath decades of lies, as officially, the experiment never happened. But unofficially, the whispers were still there and always will be. In late-night military bars, in secret KGB files, among terrified scientists who swore they would never speak again. The madness of the prisoners was so contagious that everyone involved in the experiment could not forget their howls and whispers, their hunger screams. Rumors started to spread like wildfire. Some said the gas still leaks, somewhere deep underground. Some say new experiments are being conducted even now. But one thing is certain, the terror they unleashed cannot be caged again. There was a secret interview of one of the researchers, and when he was asked, "How do you feel after the experiment?" his reply left everyone in shock. His words were, "It still lingers in the air. It seeps into your thoughts when you are most vulnerable. And if you listen closely enough, past the beating of your own heart, you can still hear it, the faint, desperate whisper of a mind that will never find peace. Whispering, we must remain awake." Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more chilling tales, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's lurking in the dark. Until next time, stay awake and stay safe.